Ironically, just 1 hour before the first tremors, emergency officials in Mexico City held an earthquake practice drill.
Some of the live news coverage coming in right now from Mexico City. This devastating earthquake coming on the 32nd anniversary of one of the deadliest ever to hit the city back in 1985. In fact, earlier in the day, they actually held earthquake drills across Mexico City just to prepare.
Conservar la calma y evacuar de inmediato. Me voy a levantar y voy a evacuar.
Incredible video there. Shaken to its core, dozens dead, buildings reduced to rubble, and people running for their lives after a 7.1 magnitude earthquake rattles Mexico City.
Oh my gosh! This is a bad idea to be on this boat!
Pegados a la derecha, pegados a la derecha. Bájame rápido. Vente, vente, Isa.
Se está moviendo todo. En ese edificio, ¿cómo se está moviendo? Estamos alertas o no tarde. Vean el edificio del SME.
¿Qué era eso?
Fuera de los cables de luz.
Dios mío.
Bueno, aquí frente al Parque México se cayó esta parte de enfrente de un negocio, pero también el edificio quedó bastante dañado, como pueden ver, la columna de este edificio.
Está moviendo bastante fuerte. Terremoto está moviendo muy fuerte aquí en México. Estamos aparentemente bien. Todo se mueve, se sigue moviendo. Sigue moviendo el terremoto.
A disaster is unfolding south of the border. A powerful magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck central Mexico today, southeast of Mexico City. Panicked residents poured into the streets as buildings crumbled. Many others were trapped in the rubble. The death toll quickly reached triple digits, and the frantic search goes on for lives that can be saved. We begin our coverage with Adrian Bard in Mexico.
It began to shake at 1:14 and felt like it would never stop. This one seemed like the big one. We lost all communication, no cell phone, no landline, no internet, no electricity. In other Mexico City neighborhoods, at least 24 buildings caved in, crashing to the ground while people on the streets looked on and ran. The roofs of 2 elementary schools caved in. Children are still trapped inside. Rescue workers and ordinary citizens are trying to remove the rubble. Many people are injured here, and even more still feeling panicked. Everywhere there are people on the streets and small piles of concrete and debris. This quake was not as powerful as the one that hit exactly 32 years ago today, killing 10,000 people, but this time the epicenter was much closer.
We are getting word, Anthony, that there are dozens of children trapped in a school which collapsed. There are rescue workers there and just ordinary people, neighbors coming out on the street digging. We're just getting the full picture here. We don't know the extent of the damage, but as I walk down Mexico's main avenue tonight, Reforma Avenue, I can tell you there are thousands of people out on the street gazing up at cracked buildings.
Adrian Bard in Mexico City. Thank
on a
you.
sightseeing trip in Mexico, actually got caught up in the middle of today's earthquake.
He also arrived just hours after the 8.1 earthquake less than 2 weeks ago. ABC 15 Sonu Wasu just talked to him. And Sonu, quite the trip. How's he holding up?
Well, you could say shaken up after seeing all of that devastation and the heartbreak around him. What was supposed to be a fun trip now turned into a nightmare.
Hey everyone, just wanted to give you all live updates. We had an earthquake about an hour ago.
Javier Rodriguez, who lives in downtown Phoenix, has been touring Mexico for the last couple weeks. Today, on his birthday, Rodriguez is at the Basilica of the Virgin of Guadalupe, a national shrine just north of Mexico City.
This is the 32nd anniversary of both my life and the last major earthquake that we had.
I was sitting down eating some lunch, and suddenly the whole area started to shake, and I immediately darted outside so I could be, in safer space, and everything was just shaking.
Javier describes 20 to 30 seconds of intense shaking. Videos from around the region show exactly that and more. Massive buildings swaying. Ironically, just 1 hour before the first tremors, emergency officials in Mexico City held an earthquake practice drill.
It's just like a sound, like a and then it said every like 5 seconds it says alert of earthquake, alert of earthquake.
Davier's friends have been sending him image after image of the city in ruins, streets split down the middle, buildings crumbled to the ground. Not quite the travel experience he was expecting, but Davier says he has no plans of coming home just yet. And the U.S. Embassy has been warning Americans living in that part of Mexico to be prepared for power outages, also to be prepared for...
En este momento, conservar la calma y evacuar de inmediato. Me voy a levantar y voy a evacuar.
Incredible video there. Shaken to its core, dozens dead, buildings reduced to rubble, and people running for their lives after a 7.1 magnitude earthquake rattles Mexico City just hours ago. And the threat isn't over yet. Aftershocks have already been reported, and the images of the devastation are just starting to emerge. Thanks for choosing ABC 15. I'm Stephanie Hawkridge.
And I'm Steve Irvin. Those who make it out finding themselves dazed and trying to find their way through the smoke and haze blanketing the streets. ABC 15's Nick Saletti monitoring the new information streaming in from the Satellite Center right now. And Nick, the race is on to find survivors.
Steve, Steph, here's what we know right now. At least 119 people have died so far in this earthquake. First responders, experts worried that number could skyrocket. Right now, it is a race to try to find people who could still be trapped inside buildings. Brand new drone video giving us a bird's eye view of the damage and destruction left behind after today's massive 7.1 earthquake in Mexico. On the ground, people covered in dust and debris, finding safety outside this building that just collapsed. As the ground continues to shake, people inside this office building race to safety. Hanging lights inside this cafe swaying back and forth as the ground pulsates. Outside, hundreds of people fill the streets. Nearby, dozens watch as the sheer force of the shaking pops the glass out of this window. It comes crashing to the ground. And during a live newscast, the anchor forced to get up and head to safety. Just look at those lights, shaking violently from above. Right now, around 4 million people are without power. Mexico City's airport, a major international hub, also shut down. And I should mention that airport in Mexico City just reopening in the last few moments. Now, I did reach out to ASU. They do have an exchange program there. We know one student is studying in Mexico City right now. The university has spoken to that student, and thankfully, they are doing okay right now. We're live tonight in the SAT Center. Nick Saletti, ABC 15, Arizona.
Thank you so much, Nick. We want to take you to some of the live news coverage coming in right now from Mexico City. This devastating earthquake coming on the 32nd anniversary of one of the deadliest ever to hit the city back in 1985. In fact, earlier in the day, they actually held earthquake drills across Mexico City just to prepare for something like this.
And President Trump also sending his condolences to the country tonight, writing on Twitter, "God bless the people of Mexico City. We are with you and will be there for you."
A major 7.1 magnitude earthquake hitting near Mexico City on Tuesday, the death toll climbing to over 130. And the Mexico City mayor saying 44 buildings were severely damaged or destroyed in the heavily populated capital. The walls of some buildings sheared off, others just collapsed. Among them, apartment blocks, a school, a factory, and a supermarket. Hundreds of volunteers and rescue workers dug through the rubble with picks, shovels, and their bare hands. Reuters correspondent David Alir Garcia is in Mexico City.
Well, the epicenter of this quake is not too far from Mexico City in the state of Puebla, which is one of the states that borders the capital. You know, it certainly appears that there are numerous buildings that have been damaged here in the city. There's also, you know, reports and video of explosions, what looks to be gas leaks at buildings that have then caught on fire, and not to mention lots of damaged buildings. We just don't know exactly the scale yet.
It's the second big quake to hit Mexico this month, striking only hours after many people around the country participated in earthquake drills on the anniversary of the devastating quake that killed thousands in Mexico City in 1985. The powerful 8.1 quake from earlier this month, the strongest to hit the country in 8 decades, left nearly 100 people dead. The U.S. President Donald Trump, who's had a very contentious relationship with Mexico, saying on Twitter, "God bless the people of Mexico City, with you."